Hi, Nick.
Hey Joe,
Hey, it's good to see you in person. We always do this via audio.
I've always been on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. How's life?
Life is good, man. It's summer, so teaching is on hiatus, so
Y-
that's nice.
Okay.
Good to be a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've been probably one of the cats that have been the longest interview series that I've had on here. I've watched your progression. So many things have changed. You've really become a leader in this world of jazz. And I'm curious, how's everything going? It's always like a constant evolution with you. How's everything going here in summer of 2023 for you?
Things are good, man. Things are rolling along. I kind of got a little stuck, for a couple of years there, like just not sure where to go with things, but things are rolling along. This album that came out in April has been doing well, and I'm happy with how it turned out. And we've got some festival gigs this summer, and yeah, things are good, man. I recorded my next project, and I got one in the can, so I've got a bunch of things ready to rock and roll in the years to come here.
That's the thing. Every time I talk to you or I talk to a musician, you've already moved on. You're already at the next place because that's the way promotion works. It's kind of this snail thing. And you
Yeah.
gotta, we're all catching up to all of it. But the one thing I think that's interesting now is that we're all kind of going through a level of PTSD with what we went through with COVID. Because when we
Mhm.
were locked into it, we didn't know what was going to happen. Now that we're coming out, everything's blowing up. Everybody's active. Everything's going. It's like a weird level of amnesia, but we do remember what happened. But it's good that you guys are out there. So with the brand new album, how did you call this together? How did you artistically stitch this project together?
Well, the way that it came to be was through Chamber Music America, which is a great organization, has these new jazz works grants, and it's something that I had been working towards since I was in college, applying every year for this grant. It's really a really wonderful program that really helps fund projects like this, and so I'd always wanted to get it, and so I started applying in probably 2009 or 2010, all the way through until getting it finally in 2020, yeah, in the summer of 2020. And so that allowed me kind of the most flexibility I've ever had in terms of dedicating time to actually writing for the band and thinking about the music, because it was well funded by this project, by this grant project. And so I ended up writing it mostly like I have written a lot of the projects for the guys in my band. And I had been sort of toying with the idea of doing something different, like with a different band and kind of moving in a new direction. But then this grant happened. I was like, well, no, I'm not done yet. I have to do this project. So we're not, I thought maybe I was done, but no, the universe is telling me you're not done yet with this. So that was cool. And so I wanted to think about, composing something that had, a little bit more broad scope. So um, it's in 10 tracks on the album, but really it's like in three long chunks. So the record is called Dreams, Visions, and Illusions. So there's three kind of long pieces within the overall suite, and they're each have three movements. And so that doesn't translate super well into like talking to the public about the music. So I didn't present it that way on the record, but I just recently kind of put up on streaming like a version where it's all cut together, how I had originally intended it, with it all kind of flowing one piece into the next. But so I wanted to write something that was a little bit longer and feature the guys in the band in the same way I've always tried to do, writing for individual personalities rather than just instruments. And which is great, except that when somebody needs to sub out, it's impossible to find somebody to fill their shoes. Um, but yeah, that was kind of the process. And because of the grant program, I was able to take about 6 months to write the piece. And then we had some funds to workshop it in the spring of 20, what year is it? 23. So 22. And then last summer, we premiered the piece at Dizzy's in New York City and recorded it. And then it finally came out in April. So it's like you said, it's a snail's pace, but one step at a time, and get things going.
I'm always interested when you get these projects funded up front. What kind of comfort, ease, what does that do to your creative process to know that you're entering into something where you already have an immediate buy-in?
Man, it's amazingly de-stressing because like it's like, okay, I can do this. Like I don't have to worry about it. You know, I had made already 5 records, you know, self-funded uh before that, and kind of always wondering, you know, wondering where the money was going to come from. But I was like, no, I need to do this. Like I need to plow it forward and create momentum in my music and career, and making music, releasing music is a huge part of that. So I was just dedicated to it, and I didn't let it stop me. However, having it all kind of sorted out up front, I was like, all right, I can do this. I can actually rehearse. We can actually workshop the music. Uh, Relief is the word. You know, I was excited to get the grant, and then relieved that I could take all that time to kind of get the piece together musically to a place where I was happy with it, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just like you throw it all together and get in the studio and make the
Yep.
record. But
Yep.
it was nice to have a little extra cushion.
You know, I talk to a lot of Canadian musicians and they get funding through the government. There's all kinds of grants. And I always find that so reassuring that a government actually understands what kind of mental good you're putting out there for people by creating music. And I'd have to think that there's a level of a lot of these players that get grants that feel that comfort that you're feeling, where they don't have to worry about funding it. And they genuinely know that this structure, this government around them recognizes their art as something that's beneficial to the populace.
Yeah, I know the Canadian government has a lot of those grants, and you know, our government does a bit. You know, the NEA is kind of tied in with this program that I received, and there's some other ones, but yeah, it does. It's a little bit. It's different how it's accessed, and it seems like to me that the Canadian artists are able more easily to get those project to project kind of funding. The government here tends to give it to big organizations who then hand it out to the musicians on a project to project basis. But you're totally right that it creates just an energy of creativity and an energy of like not having to stress about, at least even if it doesn't, like, you don't get paid personally for the project, at least you know you're not going to lose thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get it to fruition, you know. Especially for niche music like ours, like it's sometimes disheartening to keep on investing into your music and then see your bank account drain and drain and want to keep making money, making music, but also having to, you know, live a life.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice if we had a little bit more robust of a funding system, but that's maybe a topic for another day.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next thing. You know, you're the captain of Outside in Music. You know, you're offering a lot of musicians and bands the opportunity to do this. So how has that been going? How has that grown? I mean, the prevalence of it, I see the label all over the place. How has that been going for you?
That's good that you're seeing it all over the place. It's been going well. We are in a period of kind of trying to take the next step with the label and kind of restructure a little bit. Trying to, we've kind of gone in a lot of different directions, kind of trying out different artists and different things and different approaches to trying to get the music out there. And it's been kind of like a more situation, kind of all the way through since I started it seriously, kind of in 2015, 16 ish, and then getting to now where I have a lot of responsibilities and different things that I'm doing, and wanting to be able to be a little bit more focused in our offerings. So we've kind of decided into 24 and on to kind of focus in and do a little less, but be able to do a little bit more with each release. But I think it's just kind of a natural progression of things. You get excited about it, and you know, we're trying to get lots of artists music out there because it's really difficult, you know. I mean, it's easier than ever to get your music out into the world, but it's harder than ever to get it up and promoted in a way that people actually notice it. So we're trying to do the second part of that and offer a little bit more boutique of a service to allow the artists to get their stuff out in a way where it ends up on someone like yours radar, and not just kind of click it up on CD Baby and it's into the world, but then it disappears within a day or two. So it's been very interesting to see how, you know, our artists have evolved over just the last 10 years and how the industry has changed, how the opportunities to talk about this music have changed in just a short time. So everything's going well there. We're just kind of pushing on and trying to help as many people as we can.
So before we depart the new album, Dreams, Visions, Illusions, what are you hoping the listener gets from this? I know the way you constructed it, it's very unique, but what are you hoping that the listener gets from this?
Well, the piece is kind of about, a creative person's process, or kind of the journey that you go through as a creative person, and kind of just, I guess, really, and could relate to anyone. So I think the main mission or message of the recording is kind of that, you know, in the end, nothing is really as you think it's going to be, and you just have to kind of make the best of it. And I think that kind of applies regardless of your particular path in life. But it's kind of my own personal reflection on kind of that realization through, chasing a lot of different things, success, whatever you want to call it, in my path and career. And so it's a kind of reflection or meditation on those ideas. And so I hope that they'll take away a little bit of the seriousness of the kind of inner conflict, and that everyone has it, whether they think that the person is following their dreams as a musician, living that life, or they're maybe doing something a little bit more quote unquote traditional with their path, and they're doing something that they're not super excited about. That neither one of them is really the answer, and that you have to kind of come to your own sense of peace in the end.
So you mentioned a festival, the warm months are here, things are picking up. What's the lookout as we move forward for live music and things happening for you?
For me, it's the summer, so things are going to get busier. The next festival up is a Rochester International Jazz Festival for my group, and then summer's always full of some jazz camps. It's exciting to be able to see the next generation, coming up, and a little bit of traveling, some stuff in Europe, some stuff in the Northeast, some stuff. Am I going out west? Not this summer, but just excited to see that festivals are starting to catch up again. It's been difficult to get booked because of like rollovers from COVID era. Like
Yeah.
all the 21 artists get booked into 22, 23. So now in 23 and 24, there's the opportunity to finally kind of get back on where maybe it was in 2019 or 2020. So it's exciting to see. I've got another project coming for next year that maybe is going to be able to be a little bit more bookable, a little smaller group. So touring with 6 musicians can be a challenge. So,
Yeah.
and I know it seems like not that many, but 3 or 4 is a lot easier than 5 or 6 or 7. So
Yeah, for sure. You said jazz camp, and I know when this pandemic was really going on, there was this fear to a certain degree that maybe young players were like, those that were in school or those that were just getting out, I don't know if this is it for me. So it seems like it's stronger than ever. It seems like that there's been an influx. People have stayed in there. What are you sensing with the youth in the world of jazz?
I might have a different experience than some other people, but my experience has been that there are more young people that are interested in pursuing the music. I feel like there were some people that changed their mind. I had some students that were on the path of going into a jazz life, and then decided to stop during the pandemic, like that were at UNT where I teach. And but in terms of this upcoming year, I have more applications and I have more incoming freshmen than I've ever had
Wow.
this coming fall 23. So to me, there's not a lack of young people going into the music, not a lack of interest in, enjoying studying jazz and being immersed in the life. I do worry sometimes about their opportunities after they finish. Sometimes it seems like there are less opportunities to make a life in this music, but that doesn't mean that you can't appreciate it going forward. I think sometimes we're, as educators, like so serious about wanting to pass along what we value about the music and how it impacts us, that we forget that, like, just because you go to college for something doesn't mean that's going to be your whole life, and it doesn't mean it's going to be you don't have to be a professional musician forever because you went to college for music, and that's actually okay. Sometimes we poison them by being too serious, and then they get burned out, and then they're like, I'm never listening to jazz ever again. So I think there's a balance to be struck there. Like you said, there's plenty of young people that are interested in the music, but finding a way to get them engaged on an ongoing basis without them feeling like they have to like sacrifice everything to be a musician forever is something to sort out going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Nick, if anyone wants to pick up the new album, get involved with your wonderful label Outside of Music, which I partake on Neon Jazz all the time, and live shows, anything pertaining to your world, where can they go?
They can go to nickfinzermusic.com to find all about me, and outsideinmusic.com to see what we're up to over at the label.
Right on. Nick, it's great to see you in person, man. Great to catch up with you. You're the marathon interview runner for Neon Jazz, so it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, take care.